Janet, Try It Like It, Create It, and today I have a watercolor resist project for you. So let me just go through the materials that I have set out so far. We may end up using a bit more, I don't know. But, okay, I have a heat tool set off to the side here. I have some clear ink for stamping. I have this Imagine stamp, and this is a Heidi Swap stamp. It is rather old. This is what the packaging looked like, and I'm looking for a date on here, 2007. Now, I bought these from a lady who quit crafting, and she was going to run classes in her studio, and so I have a lot of unused materials that she was collecting. So that is where that stamp comes from. I have my Gansi Tambi watercolors. Now you could use any watercolor, but I thought this could be very interesting because of the way that the colors shift. And then I have a paintbrush and a cup of water setting aside, and then I also have clear embossing powder. So to begin, we're going to stamp our image in clear and emboss it, and that will create the resist for us. So this is the first time using this stamp pad and as well as this stamp. So it feels very sticky, so I don't know, we may just need this one time go, and we'll give it a shot and see how that goes. Oh, and I have a basic cardstock cut tag that we'll be working with. So I'm going to push that down. I'm going to use a scraper tool here just to give a little extra pressure using the foam side, just to make sure that my pressure is even since it is quite a large stamp. And I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers stamping platform because I want to, let's see, okay, it is sticky on the stamp, but I am not feeling anything there on my paper. So let's try this again. I can hear the ink. I can feel the ink. It's kind of hard when it's clear and you can't see it, but I know that I need it to be, you know, sticky enough to get the clear embossing powder. And I probably should have pounced with powder first so that we don't get any embossing powder stuck anywhere else but where we are stamping. All right, so now I'm starting to see the image a little bit better. I'm going to go one more time with this ink pad because it's my first time using it, like I said, and I can hear the stickiness, but I'm just not quite sure about the coverage. And if this isn't enough coverage, then we'll swap out to another brand. Okay, let's try it and see what happens. Got my embossing powder here. I'm gonna lift this up. I can see the image on here. I don't know. I'm not, okay. I wasn't very confident that it was going to be sticky, but the powder is sticking. All right. And this will be our resist. All right. I don't know how well the stamp pad takes heat, but I know my glass mat can take the heat, so I'm just going to move out of the way here. All right, and I am using my Stamp Abilities heat embossing gun. I have other heat embossing guns. This one heats up rather quickly, so I thought I'd give this one a go for the embossing. All right, and I can see that did change very quickly. It's not a very raised amount because there wasn't a whole lot of powder on there. Now, if you want raised, you would stamp it multiple times to get a raised image. But what I want is just enough to knock out or to protect the background from getting covered. So let's go ahead and move forward. And I'm pulling my paint out of the box. Should have done that ahead of time. And let's see which colors we want to work with. I think I'm going to go with, do I want to do red and violet or pink? I think we'll do pink and violet on here. And I also have a little spray bottle of water. I'm going to first mist the watercolors to start those getting activated. Then I'm going to mist my paper because in order for these to work, you really need to get them saturated. And I might swap out my brush. I am going to swap out my brush for something a little bit bigger. Okay, water. Let's go in the Aurora pink first. I can already see the color breaking into parts in its tray, so hopefully we'll see that happening here as well. And the resist is working. And I am seeing a variety of color. I am not working on watercolor paper. I am not working on a very thick paper. But I am going to go in and add water on top. And sometimes we don't see the magic of this paint really work until it's dry. But I do see some color shifting happening in here, in and around the wording. So I feel like I might want to stop fairly soon. I'm just going to go over it one more time with some color. I was going to also add in the violet, but I feel like I'm happy with just this one color on here. Adding a little more purple around the top and the bottom just to get a little bit darker image. All right, I'm going to let that sit, and I'm going to then bring in my heat tool. I'm not going to dab off the type because there is some activity happening there. Interesting, it may be happening from the underneath side, but I like what I'm seeing, so I'm going to leave it and heat it. All right, so as I was drying, I kind of like what I'm seeing happening here. It's not completely dry, but pretty well. This is still wet down here. I like actually what's happening on the back better than the front, so I think I'm just going to go in and add some more. I'm going to add a thicker amount of paint on my brush and see if just adding it on here we can get some more activity happening. Add some water into this, really get it paint and water combination here. All right, and then this time we may need to kind of let it dry on its own. My tag is still a bit wet, but what I'm doing here is wetting the tip of my brush and just going into the letters with water, just plain water, and then taking a dry baby wipe and going over it, which is picking up the watercolor that is sitting on top of those letters. So I don't know if I want to remove all of the color because I like what's happening, but I do like the brighter standout of my stamped image. So I am just going to go in and remove what I can as this dries and just work on removing a little bit of that color off of the stamped and heat embossed image. And you can see that that is now being much more pronounced. But I do kind of like the grungy look of it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably dry this fully. Now, I don't know if it is showing up here on screen at all, but Yeah, I think you're getting some. There's some sparkle happening, and I know it's not in the paint. I know it wasn't in the stamp, so I'm thinking it was in my paintbrush. However, I don't know that I've used that paintbrush before. But anyway, we're getting some added sparkle, which is a bonus I wasn't anticipating. I pulled out some eye zinc spray, and this is a silver color. It's called nacre. I don't know. That's a French word. I'm not sure what it means. Maybe it even means silver. I don't know. But I pulled that out thinking we might want to do some splatters in silver. And then I also grabbed my Fashion Shimmer Spray, because if we look here at the bottom, you can see this purple is a metallic color. And I thought that might be interesting to add darker splatters on top of this. So I'm at the point now where I think I will go ahead and use a heat tool on this, and then we'll go in and do our splatters. So before we go on, I just wanted to show you, this is the tag front, and we are getting color shift and color activity much more interesting on the back around the edges, but we are getting some of this showing through on the front with the blues and the pinky purple color. And just to show you, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera or not, the water even has a little area of blue kind of halo, almost like a light rainbow would show up, showing up in our dish. And so the color is breaking down in the water. I thought that was quite interesting. So all right, to start, I'm going to do some of the purple, dark purple first. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to spray. I'm actually going to open this up and use the stick. Oh, this is feeling pretty thick in here. Okay, let me see if I can get a little bit lighter amount here. And let's see if we can get some, yeah. Let's just go for a few. Interesting how they're clumping together, maybe how I'm tapping as well. I don't know. All right. I'm gonna count that as enough of the dark and go in with some silver as well while we have this. And the silver looks like, because it's a thinner spray, it's almost bleeding into the paper, giving us another layer of color. Interesting. Let me get some right in the middle here. Maybe I just have to add it myself. All right. All right, so now I have dried those splatters pretty well, and as I turn it in the light, you can see the metallic of those splatters. I'm kind of 50-50 on whether or not it added to the image or it's taking away from the image. I know the colors coordinate, but we did have kind of a grungy look going, and those splatters have kind of changed it because of their color and their why can't I say it, metallic look to them. I don't know if we should add any three-dimensional something or some glitter, or I have some other papers here that could add, you know, a little something like a border. Yeah, I might, I don't know, maybe a little strip at the bottom might add some grounding to it. I kind of like the look of that. This is what the other side looks like. Isn't that amazing? This is alcohol ink. I don't like this color as much. This is alcohol ink on aluminum tape from the hardware store, is what this is. So I am horrible at cutting straight lines, but I'm going to bring in a little, do I want to do a little paper trimmer here, I think, if I can grab it, and just cut a little strip. I know I'm probably going to be off camera here for a second because I'm trying to fit everything onto my desktop. But what I'm doing is cutting a strip. Right? And I don't think you need to see me cut because I think everybody understands cutting. Alright, so I don't even know if that looks straight. I used the paper trimmer to make it straight, and if I fold it, yeah, it doesn't totally, okay, so we'll just work from one end and hope enough of it. All right, so like I said, this is tape. So I can easily stick it down without using any adhesive, as long as it's sticky enough, and I can make it straight and trim off the excess. What a way to fix a little boo-boo, huh? All right, so now, do we just fold this over or do we cut it off? I think if we cut it off, I'm gonna need a knife. So let's do an X-Acto knife here. Get a nice, hopefully, a nice clean cut here. There we go. All right, almost spilled my water. I did get a little splatter, but accident avoided. And then I grabbed some ribbon from the dollar store, which is sheer ribbon in this purpley color. I did notice recently I wanted to grab some ribbons from the dollar store before the prices went up. And guess what? Ribbon prices have already gone up. So a little bit disappointed about that. All right, so if I want the loop in the front, I start it in the back. I always have to talk myself through this. I don't know if you get it yourself. Oops, I missed the other piece. All right, let's try this again. So I'm gonna fold this up small enough to fit through the opening. There we go. And then, so what I was saying is the loop is in the back, and when I flip it over to the front, then it's going to be visible on the front of my tag, which is what I want. I want this kind of cross piece here to show up. All right, so gently pull, because I think the ribbon can be a little stronger than our paper at times. So I'm just going to try to finesse this in place here. Alright. And then I'm going to cut them off short. And I'm going to go at an angle. So let's go short to the outside and longer to the inside, like that. And this little piece sticking out is kind of bothering me. So let's try to tuck that in on the back side, or fold it over. Not sure which piece it is. That's the problem. Having a hard time finding. Okay, here it is. And you're probably sitting there thinking, gosh, she's fussing too much. I am, and I'm afraid that my paper's going to break. All right, let's call it quits. All right, I like the ribbon at the top, kind of almost bunny ear-like, and then I do like the tape at the bottom because that kind of gives us an ending point. So hopefully you like this idea. It doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be these exact materials. You can do this kind of a technique with any kind of watercolor. You could stamp your image and emboss in all different kinds of colors. I just chose to use clear so that we could see the paper through. And as I said, it was not a very thick embossing. And so it picked up some of the watercolor, which was fine, and I like the look of that because it's adding texture onto that stamped image, but still being a crisp stamp around the edges. And if I come in close, maybe you can see what I'm talking about, because the crack of the embossing powder is being gently filled. Yeah, that's a good catch of it. Is being gently filled with the watercolor. And if I flip the piece over, you can see some of that color activity on the back and how the color splits from that paint right there. And we're seeing some of that on the front here, but it's a lot more subtle than what we're seeing happening breaking on the back. And that's okay. Overall, I'm really happy with the result. I had an idea in mind. I didn't have a finished vision of what it was going to be. And so yeah, this is our tag for this week. And so let me know what you think of the technique and if you're going to try it yourself.